At the outset, let me make it perfectly clear. As a parent myself, I absolutely abhor any kind of violence towards children of any nature whatsoever. Okay? All right, let's unpack the story. After 2 years of horror stories about the alleged mass graves of Indigenous children at residential schools across Canada, a series of recent excavations at suspected sites has turned up absolutely no human remains. That's right, zip, zilch, nada. A group of Indigenous people known as the Pine Creek First Nation excavated 14 sites in the basement of Our Lady of Seven Sorrows Catholic Church near the Pine Creek Residential School in Manitoba during 4 weeks this summer. The so-called anomalies were first detected using ground-penetrating radar, but on August 18th, Chief Derek Nipanak of remote Pine Creek Indian Reserve said absolutely no remains were found. And I give full credit to the chief for having done the heavy lifting and investigating this very serious issue. Now, that's a far cry from what happened in May of 2021 when the leaders of the Kamloops First Nation in British Columbia announced the discovery of a mass grave of more than 200 Indigenous children, which they said had been detected via ground-penetrating radar at a residential school in Kamloops, BC. The radar found anomalies in the soil, but no actual remains were found at the time. And even up until last week, there has not even been an excavation in the alleged burial spots, which means that this story, which is still garnering interest, which is still being passed off as credible, has not been validated or tested or further confirmed. Pine Creek and Kamloops were among a network of residential schools across Canada run by the government and operated by churches from the 1880s through to the end of the 20th century. Experts estimate about 150,000 Indigenous children went through the system. Now, there have been inquiries since May of 2021 looking into this various serious claims. And one of the folks who came out on this said the following: the evidence does not support the overall gruesome narrative put forward around the world for several years, a narrative for which verifiable evidence has been scarce or non-existent. This was written by James C. McCrae, a former Attorney General for Manitoba, and he wrote this in an essay published last year. However, due to his factual statements that he made, McCrae had to resign from his position on a government panel after his views on residential schools did what? Well, they outraged Indigenous groups and other activists and politicians. What we should all be outraged by is the fact that no excavations have been done in the Kamloops lands. Like I said at the outset, am against any kind of abuse of children whatsoever. I don't tolerate it one iota. So I would welcome the excavation so we can put this story to bed once and for all. Because all of this lack of evidence hasn't stopped many in Canada from still painting a demonic picture of the residential schools and those who staff them. In fact, the firestorm that was set off in May 2021 by the Kamloops band resulted in churches across Canada being set on fire, as well as the defacement of statues and the vandalism of church property. This was all based on the fact, of course, all this was done as a result of, as we know today, still no bodies having been presented to date from Kamloops, which would lead me to believe, at least, that the real crime was the ginning up of unfounded hatred against both the Catholic Church specifically and the white man at large. Kind of looks like we need some more truth and reconciliation. Eh, Justin? Anyway, I do appreciate you watching. Thank you very much. You can also follow me in my Rumble and my Locals account. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do so. And you can also follow me on X, Twitter, at Camera612. See you next time.